With my sincere praise to the all blessings to one and all present here. Our 69th episode
স্যার বলুন,
of the online lecture on founders and
আপনি জয়েন
in
করেছেন?
India, instituted by the Professor Devendra Singh at the Institute for Environmental Research. The kind permission of the President of the Professor Arvind Munimani sir,
Please proceed, madam.
Professor Rana Prasad sir, we now invite Assistant Professor, Department Harbour, Women's University, West Bengal, the welcome address. Dr. Kapil sir.
Yeah. Thank you, madam. A very good evening to everyone present here. It gives me immense pleasure to extend a warm and cordial welcome to all gathered on this special occasion of the online lecture series of founder and makers of modern geography in India, West Bengal chapter. Today we are privileged to host the first special lecture of the West Bengal chapter that promises to enrich our knowledge and broaden our intellectual horizon. At the outset, I would like to respectfully welcome our distinguished speaker, Professor Sunanda Bandyopadhyay, whose presence among us is truly an honor. He is widely recognized for his exemplified research and teaching career. Professor Bandyopadhyay has taught geography for more than 36 years and has been a professor at the University of Calcutta since 2006. Formerly, he worked at Darjeeling Government College, Chandanagar Government College, Vidyasagar University and the University of Bardwan. His research focused on coastal, fluvial and structural geomorphology of Bengal Delta and its adjoining region. He has authored about 85 articles, 3 books, undertaken 32 sponsored and consultancy projects, and supervised 19 doctoral dissertations on this and related aspects. Today, Professor Bandyopadhyay will speak on one of the legendary geomorphologists of India, Professor Manotosh Kumar Bandyopadhyay, and his contribution in modern geography. Professor Sunanda Bandyopadhyay did his PhD thesis under the able guidance of Professor Manotosh Kumar Bandyopadhyay, who was popularly known as Professor MKB. I also extend my heartfelt welcome to our respected patrons, Professor Rana Pratap, President Professor Arvind A. Mulimani, convener of today's program Professor Sabitsmita V. Chauhan, Chief Guest Professor R.S. Yadavar, our distinguished guest, coordinator, intercessor, organizing secretaries, observer from the South Asia Geographers Association, esteemed faculty members, and distinguished participants. Your presence make these events meaningful and inspiring to us. I am very confident that today's lecture will be both enlightening and engaging, leaving us with a valuable ideas and knowledge about the works of Professor Bandyopadhyay. Before I conclude, I like to express my sincere gratitude to the organizers for their efforts in arranging these events. With these words, I once again welcome you all and wish this session great success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kapil sir, for your warm welcome address to all the dignitaries on the panel and senior academicians present here. We are pleased to invite Professor Sunanda Bandyopadhyay, Professor, Department of Geography, University of Calcutta, West Bengal, to deliver the 69th episode devoted to Professor Manotosh Kumar Bandyopadhyay, former professor in Department of Geography, Calcutta University, Kolkata. Professor Sunanda sir, please.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, organizers.
Good evening, sir.
For having me, because I'm so happy that finally I'm here, Devendra Prasad ji. After a long time, and today or tomorrow and in the next month, for this lecture. Okay. So here I am sharing my screen.
Your voice is not clear, Sunanda Babu.
Is that so? Should I change the microphone? Is it okay? Is it coming now? So, no.
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much. I will speak a bit louder. The microphone is a bit away from me. The camera is a bit away. Actually. Anyway, have some patience as the presentation starts. Can you let me know whether you can see?
The screen is visible, sir.
Okay, that's fine. There is some someone's microphone. Can you please put it off? Not sure from where it is coming. Noise of some air. Anyway. So this is the 69th episode of the Please look from where the sound is coming. Someone's microphone is, taking some air. Okay, thank you very much. Wait, get my point. Some microphone is putting some air. That is why the murmuring now is coming. So please, if you can mute everybody, then I think this problem will be solved. I mute.
Sir, please continue.
Okay.
You can go into slide share mode.
No, I am talking about the microphone, which is adding some noise to the system.
I request all the participants, other participants except speaker, to please mute your mic if it is not muted.
Okay, this is fine. So, as I was saying, that this is the 69th episode of the Founders and Makers of Modern Geography in India lecture series. And today, I will just present Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay's life and works shortly. Professor Manotosh Kumar Bandyopadhyay was popularly known as the MKB in the geography and geomorphology circle in West Bengal and many parts of India. These three letters are enough to recognize it. Now, in the opening slide, I have also put 4 logos. On the left, you find the logo of the Guwahati University and the Calcutta University, where he was employed and where he taught as a professor, and the logo of IGI, that is the Indian Institute of Geologists, and HSP, that is the Himalaya Samiksha Parishad, which he founded. Among others, he was one of the founding members of these societies. And the question is, who was MKB? Maybe many of you haven't heard about him. Maybe many of you are not accustomed with him. So basically, Manotosh Kumar Bandyopadhyay was a geographer and specialized in geomorphology, especially working in structural, glacial, fluvial, coastal aspects of it. He was, of course, a university professor also, and he was an avid mountaineer. Just a moment, I will just put on. Okay. Yeah. As I was speaking, we were also having mountaineer and an expeditioner, a conservation specialist, a science communicator, an excellent orator. People would just listen to him, forgetting the time, because he used to speak so well. He was also an author of many, you know, research articles as well as popular articles. He was a photographer who had some more than 4,000 color transparencies. You know, at that time, the old people among you would understand that there was something called a transparency tool that could have been put in the slide projector and shown to a screen for a wide audience. And he had some more than 4,000 slides, color slides with him. Now, being archived by his family. Also proficient in French, also knew workable German and Russian. Now, very quickly, I will just go through the basic outline of Professor Bandyopadhyay, who was born in 1936 on 2nd April. Sudhita Rani and Tarapodo in Odisha of the present Bangladesh. He completed schooling. Actually, he left Bangladesh. I mean, at that time, Pakistan, while he was in class 8 and came to India and completed his schooling from institute called Kalidon in Kolkata. Well-known old-time traditional school of the city. Now, after that, he had his graduation from the Oxford College, first in physics and then again in geography. So, honors in both physics and a special honors in geography. After that, he had a post-graduation from the University of Calcutta. Then, after passing, he joined the National Atlas Organization, which was later renamed the National Atlas Thematic Mapping of. We all know that. But from there, he was there for 2 years. After that, he was engaged as a lecturer at Calcutta University and in the Department of Geography. Soon after, he left from France. Okay, he joined in 59 and just after 2 years, he left for to Strasbourg University with the French government scholarship and worked under known climatic geomorphology in North Africa. And after returning, he again received the Fulbright scholarship for doing MS in geomorphology under the guidance of the legendary W.T. Thornbury in Indian University, and which was followed by a series of assignments in the United States that brought him to the Geological Institution in the Janu field of Alaska, and where he made several expeditions into the Rocky Mountain region. And then, before coming back and joining the Calcutta University again, he also taught in the departments of Michigan State University and the University of Wisconsin. After returning to India, at that time, you know that the famous International Congress held in India in 1968, and he was made the secretary of the glaciology section because over this time he was aboard. He pursued glaciology and structural morphology as his main theme. And then, after coming back, he also got married to Gauri. We fondly call her Gauri Di, who taught in the, now she has retired as the associate professor in the geography department of Jogmaya Devi College. Then on the same year, he joined the Department of Geography in the University of Calcutta. That is my department. Current and I was a student of that department too. And in 1969 and 1972, his daughter Alaska, named after the place he conducted his research, and Rajarshi was born. He retired from the Department of Geography, University of Calcutta in 2001. Now, it would take a very long time if I go, the huge area of work, research work that Professor Bandyopadhyay had done. So if you just boil everything a bit, so this sort of basic number you can get. So he had some 61 articles published, research articles. He had numerous popular articles, so they are basically countless. And then we have 18 papers on glacial geomorphology, 11 on coastal geomorphology, 9 on structural geomorphology, and 6 in fluvial geomorphology, and 4 in glacial and applied geomorphology and environmental geography. He authored 4 works, and miscellaneous. Miscellaneous. He had authored 6 works, and 4 each in the applied glaciology and geomorphology and environmental geography, and 3 in meteorology and climatology. Now, see, these are the major areas in India where he worked on glacial geomorphology. These were the upper Dhauli Ganga valley of the Garhwal, upper Sindh valley of Kashmir, Kankanas basin of Himachal Pradesh, Zemu glacier of Sikkim, Shankalba glacier of Kumaun, Bada Shigri glacier of Lahul, and Lingdo Dinkramo glacier also in Sikkim. I have forgotten to put the name, also in Sikkim. Now, that's a huge number of works, in about 18 papers on that. But basically what he did develop, at that time the glacial geomorphology was in an infant stages in India. So he developed methodology and interpretation techniques of the signature of the reconstruction of the paleo environment in different parts of the India up to 3,000 meters. But his work took him to an altitude of 6,000 meters, and maybe very few geographers that I have put in the last paragraph. There are very few geographers at that time climbed up to the 6,550 meters and for glaciological investigation. Actually, he had this basic mountaineering course certificate from the HMI, the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute in Darjeeling. Now, what he found out from all these works, he found out, the techniques he used are lichenometry, dendrochronology, the weathering of rocks, the degree of the weathering of the rocks, the degree of dissection of the terrain, the elevation of glacial terraces above the fluvial channel. Maybe that is what he's measuring right now using the theodolite. And from that, he relatively dated the landform features and tried to establish the nature of the multiple warming and cooling, that is stages and substages of glacial advancement and retreat that took place in the Himalayan region. So that was, in a nutshell, that was a contribution in the glacial geomorphology. Now we can come to the structural geomorphology. For this and for the structural and the coastal and the fluvial, I thought of taking 3 of his works, and explain those things to you. And some of my colleagues and students, his students, my colleagues and friends, like Professor Ashish Pal and Kolra and Rudro, they were also part of these sort of works. Now, one of the very important contribution of Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay was, the Himalayan drainage. It is like this. It is well known that the Himalayan drainage is antecedent, and you pick up any textbook, you will find that on Indian geomorphology or structural geology, you will find that these rivers formed before the mountain range were formed. Otherwise, how could they emanate or origin in the Tibetan plateau about 4,000 meters and come across the mountain, which is 8,000 to 7,600 meters high, full of glaciers and things like that? How is it possible? So the rivers were there in the northern part of the India. At the time, India was colliding with the Tibet, and these rivers were there, and then gradually the mountains came up. So these are the antecedent river. Now, Professor Manotosh Kumar Bandyopadhyay did not agree with this. Okay, now let us see what are the rivers. So we really have 11 rivers, right? And starting from the east, we have the Indus and the Satluj, right? And the Karnal in India, the left three. And then in Nepal, we have the Kali Gandaki, the Budya Gandaki, the Bhotkoshi, Tomakoshi, and Orun up to this point. And then in Bhutan, of course, we have Tista in India. And then again in Bhutan, we have Amochu and Kuruchu, which is the upper part of the Manotosh. And finally, the Zangbo or the Brahmaputra. Now, why did he say this? Why did he say that these rivers could not have formed before the Himalaya? Okay, let us just take one river because we have short time. One river, which is the Indus. Okay, so I'm enlarging that part which has gone, orange on the left part of your screen, upper left part of your screen, and just enlarge that part here. So this is the river. Okay, this is the Indus in occupied Kashmir, where it is crossing the main range of the Himalaya. There is a famous mountain called Nanga Parbat, K2 or Damir, which is the red triangle. Now see the interesting thing, how it is crossing. See, just two enlarged sections are there, but even if you don't see this, you will find this blue line, what is growing. On the left side, you have granites, okay? And on the right side, or I mean the northern side, you have all these epidiorites and the basic intrusives. And see here. So it is following, a structural contact and often fault lines, okay, through which it is flowing. And see this, the direction. It is going northeast, then it is going northwest, then it is going southwest, then it is going northeast again. Northwest again. So a river which was pre-existing before, the uplift of a mountain can't have do that, right? It can't have, followed the structure because it is antecedent. But Professor Bandyopadhyay argued that because it is following the structure, they could not have been antecedent. So they must have been, the channels which eroded headward, some channel which eroded headward along the, structural joints or weaknesses, faults or, lithological contacts, and then captured streams from the northern part of the Himalaya. So this was one of his major theories, okay? And you will find the articles are there. And in Sabindra Singh's, Professor Sabindra Singh's Geomorphology, is a very famous textbook, you will find a mention of this idea in the, this antecedent, the section on the antecedent drainage. Okay, so this is diagrams are taken from this particular book or article, Antecedents of Indus and Evaluation, which was published in Indian Geomorphology and edited by Professor Suresh Ramchandra Jog in 1995. Okay, then we come to the coastal geomorphology. Okay, with age, Professor Bandyopadhyay's interest turned to the coast of West Bengal. And when he started doing the field, he found how dynamic the region is. Glaciers takes hundreds of years. Structural geomorphology takes millions of years to, note something, to register something. But the coastal geomorphology, he found that is extremely fast, very quickly. For example, here in the Sagar Island, he found that at a dune, which was there, see in the upper diagram in 1990, completely got eroded as the coastline eroded, advanced. Retreated, you actually see advanced, the coastline retreated by 3 years. So that prompted him to take us, at that time I was his student, and take us to the field and do something what we called seasonal mapping. You map, you go there every monsoon, every pre-monsoon, at least twice a year for many years to exactly register what are the changes, how the changes that we made. Remember, at that time, there was no global positioning system. There was no satellite image. There was nothing. Actually, satellite images were there, but they were only available in hard, hard copies, and resolutions was very poor. Nothing compared to, actually, there was no, I would say, any substance. You can't substitute field work at that time with any of the satellite images or aerial photographs. Aerial photographs were very hard to get. Only from the Survey of India you would be able to get it. And also for the coastal region, they are termed restricted, and you would have no access to aerial photographs. Anyway, and like that, we went on under the tutelage of Professor Bandyopadhyay, go there, bring in the data so that it can be analyzed. So for example, in one of these regions, how this beach is extending and the coastline is retreating, this is recorded here. This was published in a journal called Indian Journal of Landscape Society and Ecological Studies, and in 1993. At that time, me and Professor Ashish Kumar Paul, who was working with me. Then you see another interesting thing we found out at that time. Professor Bandyopadhyay said, okay, so this is how the coast is retreating. But for how long this coast are retreating like that? We know this is a delta. How can the delta retreat? Hey, Shagor Island, how can retreat? So he made us to go and look into the old maps. And by comparing the old maps, we found a very interesting thing. We found that the entire coast of the West Bengal, especially the delta parts, retreating, which was not clear at the point of the time. Say that was the early 1990s, it was not clear. And then we also, we also came up with some interesting observations. This part is not getting in sediments. Okay, so this was an article which Professor Bandyopadhyay published in 1996. Okay, and it was presented in a seminar in Allahabad University in 1994, and there was a lot of hot debate about it. There were people who said, what are you saying? The West Bengal coast is retreating, the deltaic part, it can't be. We all know the delta progress, how can it retreat? But he proved that no, see, these are the maps. Maps can't lie. Your idea can lie, but maps can't lie. So see, these coast is indeed retreating. And then what it came up at that time, we still follow that. Say this is the same diagram. Now I have colored it later on. Professor Bandyopadhyay has also seen this. So the thing is that in all the sediments, there are two things. One, the delta of the West Bengal part of the Ganga Delta is abandoned. It doesn't get any sediment. So it doesn't prograde anymore. And also the sediment which used to come from the Meghna, you are geographers, so you know the geography of our delta. So all the supplies, the sediments and the water from the Himalaya and the central India and the Tibet, which comes through the Ganga, Brahmaputra and the Meghna, they all ends up here on the upper right hand side, and they all go into the shelf, and there is the shelf is divided into two. So all this sediment that falls trapped by this particular cleft, which is called a swatch of no ground, and it drains into the deep sea. So the western part doesn't get any rain. I'm sorry, doesn't get any sediment. Okay. Now, this was, again, I told you that it was came out in 1996. Then you see, there is a very interesting work on fluvial geomorphology. He have a lot of contribution of fluvial geomorphology on the floods, and on another interesting thing of Professor Bandyopadhyay was with Kollan Rudro, he did that, Dr. Kollan Rudro, that, the Ptolemy's map, the first map of the world, actually, the entire world together, and he mapped all the 5 major estuaries of the Ganga Delta at that time. Now he, with Kollan Rudro, he found out all those old estuaries, which present day estuaries used to represent at that time. There was another thing, but I have picked up a interesting thing. See, something called macrogeomorphology. So this is the Similipal Massif. Okay, on the upper side, you will find a diagram here. Okay, I mean, Similipal Massif is a very interesting place where you have inversion of relief. Okay, you see the upper left diagram, and you will find that there are a lot of saucer-shaped things. Okay, basically that's a basin. The thing is, the similipal is a shield-like formation, a dome-like formation, but inside it's a basin. Okay, and so we have, these concentric rings, hard rings of quartzite. See on the lower right diagram, you have Q, and the softer rings of metamorphosed basalts. Okay, so you have like that, and you have some annular drainage pattern. Now, using that, Professor Bandyopadhyay did a very interesting thing, and he found out. I don't know whether you have been, any of you have been to Similipal. There is a famous waterfall that tourists go to see, and its name is Badhai Pani waterfall. He found out how or I would say he just theorized or hypothesized how this Badhai Pani waterfall came about. See the first diagram in the upper left. So this is the Badhai Pani river. The Budha Balang river, which is coming from the south to and going to north. Okay, and then this another system beside a quartzite ring, which is a resistant part of the entire region, and then fault forms here, and so upthrow is the X. So this river on the southern one, which is going, along the what is it, along the structure, okay, the concentric structure, it is ponded, right? It is ponded, and then the Budhai Balang being a mightier stream than this one, it started eroding headward and finally captured this stream, which is called Bakua. Okay, and so we have this. So Bakua, then the famous Badhai Pani fall, and then the Budha Balang went along. So it was like this. So this one, okay. So this he published this article in 1980, the evolution of the drainage in the Similipal highlands of Odisha. Okay, so these sort of works he did, so we can't go into the all details, but I can say you from sources from where you can go through all the list of his research publications. I will show you, I will tell you. But see, these are the research supervisations he did. He didn't supervise many students, just 9. So in an early phase, he worked with Ratna Dotto, okay, on the geomorphology of the Tarapeni Basin, right? So that is in the Purulia district of the western West Bengal. Ratnadi, he has now retired. He was a teacher in the Koshba Model School, Kolkata. Then came Indrani Chatterjee, who was the associate professor of the former associate professor of geography in the Hidembo Chandra College of Kolkata, and she worked on the geomorphological characteristics and their influences on human activities in the Darjeeling district. Okay, that's the anthropogenic geomorphology in 1984. Then Dilshad Begum, she came with a scholarship from Bangladesh and worked on the nature and evolution of landforms of the South Giridih town, Bihar. Dr. Begum is worked in the SFX, that is the, I think, St. Francis Xavier Green Hill International School in Dhaka, but she also has written. Then we have the Kollan Rudro, the former professor of Habra Sri Chaitanya College, and for decades he is now very successfully, he is heading the West Bengal Pollution Control Board, and he's a prolific author, so you will have to put his name in the internet and you can see what he has done, he is doing for all these years. And after he got his PhD, that was in 1986, on the history of development of the Bhagirathi Hooghly river system and some connected considerations. In the later phase, there were 3 persons who are very close to age in each other, and one of them was Ashish Kumar Pal, who was at that time a professor in the Department of Geography of the Ashutosh College, later became the head and the professor of the Department of Geography, Vidyasagar University. And his work was morphological dynamics of the coastal tract of West Bengal. Basically, the work of Manotosh Babu, in Bengali, any respected person is called Babu. So Manotosh Babu and Ashish Da, elder brother is called Da, actually, inspired a whole lot of persons to come to the coast and work for the processes and the landform changes that nobody before thought, It was their idea, basically. And then, of course, I worked under him on the Sagar Island. My area was very small, but I had to do a lot of field work with him all the time. He used to go. And he was, in Bengali, there is a, proverb called Paer Tolay Sorshe. Okay. It means mustard seeds beneath one's leg. That means always on the move. So Manotosh Babu, Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay was always in the move. Okay. He had a small kit bag with a spare everything stored. Any day he may go out. Any day. So his family, Gauridi, his students, these daughters, daughter and the son, they were all accustomed with the habit of Manotosh Babu that he may go to any person without a day's notice, maybe with an hour's notice. Okay. So we always had him with us wherever we go, and not only us, many people. So now, after that, Professor Manjari Bhattacharya, who is now heading the Department of Geography in the Vishwabharati Shantiniketan, walked on Rajmahal Hills and inquired into some problems of structural geomorphology. And the thing that, all these things, what I'm showing, why emphatically it is because these problems were not our problem. It was his problem. He was such a, able supervisor that he always used to, take our problems as our own. Any problem we didn't understand, so always he would refer to us to a suitable person like that. Then in the later stage, he walked Paramita Dasgupta, who is now the associate professor of geography in the Sammilani College, and worked on the physical environment of the Ajodhya Hills and a degradation. That was in Purulia district. And finally, Papri Basu, who is now teaching in the Napati school in Howrah, she worked on the geomorphological characteristics of Haharao Basin, Hazaribagh, where you can see the standing with a monolith at that point. But two other persons who were not directly his doctoral students and did their doctoral dissertation from other person were very closely associated with us, as well as all of his research endeavor. Now you can see here on the left, Chumande, on the right, Joyanto Sen in his diagram speaking on the condolence program after Professor Bandyopadhyay died in 2020, 10th October. So I also included them because they were very much a student of him all through, their career. And also some other students, well-known geomorphologists, because if you count the students, it's really countless, because Calcutta University has the highest intake capacity in the West Bengal universities. And now we have more than 100 students every year. And he taught in Calcutta University 1969 up to this early part of this century. Okay. So some prominent persons are Professor Dulal Chandra Goswami of the Calcutta University and Dr. Amol Kaur of the Arid Zone Research Institute of the Jodhpur, the very well-known arid geomorphologist, and Professor Shubhi Sharkara, North Bengal University. He's sitting here with Professor A.K. Bhagavati, Abani Kumar Bhagavati, who was his colleague in then very close friend during his stays in Guwahati. And Professor Sunil Kumar, they now addressing here the 97 ICG in International Conference on Geomorphology in 2017. And also Professor Shubhamita Chaudhary, who is now heading the Geography Department of the West Bengal State University. Okay, they were students. Among many accomplished students, there were a few which I just, maybe I have, forgotten to put some name, but sorry for that. But this that came into my mind. These 5 persons were his direct students and did And nowadays, the geomorphologists know them at least all over India. Okay, and for Sunil, all over the world. Now, Professor Bandyopadhyay was also a part of, you can understand the versatility of this person. So he became the president and the secretary of many organizations in India, like the 58th International Geographical Congress. I told before that he was made the secretary of the glaciology section. Then in different years, he became the president of the Indian Council of Geographers of Patna, Mountainous Youth Wing. Now, these are not known to the persons out of West Bengal, but it's a very respectable organization within Kolkata, okay, within West Bengal, I would say, Eastern India maybe. Mountainous Youth Ring, then Eastern Geographical Society of Bhubaneswar, the Himalayan Association, another of the associations of, dealing with the expedition and the mountaineering of the Himalaya, like the Himalaya Shomika Porishad, the headquarters of which is now in University of Calcutta. Now, you know that the mountaineering, if you just have a if you take a stock of which are the people from which state the people go to the Himalaya, okay, you will find the two states will stand out. One is Maharashtra and another is West Bengal. The West Bengal has a huge mountaineering fraternity, okay, a trekkers fraternity. So Manotosh Babu was very well known among them. And would you believe, for any major expedition, the people would come, the leader would come, the mountaineering club and the secretary and other persons would come and ask him, we are going to this region, okay? Maybe we are going to the Lahul, we are going to the Spiti, we are going to the Ladakh, we are going to some expedition in the Sikkim. At this time, would it be okay? What to advise us to follow? What should be, the ideal time? So as students, we used to see all these mountaineering people frequenting Professor Bandyopadhyay's room, faculty room. And then he also became the president of the Indian Institute of Geomorphology, the organization he founded in 1996, and also became the president of the National Association of Geographers, the NAGI of India. I should have made black that one also, dark. Anyway, so that was in 2007. And he was a founder member of 4 organizations, major organizations. One was the Himalaya Shomika Porishad and the Himalaya Association, Indian Institute of Geomorphologists, and the Porbo Jobijatri Sangh, another of the prestigious mountain-related organization of West Bengal. Now, his mountain-related activities, mountaineering-related activities, I didn't, put many things of those aspects into this presentation because that will, be a bit out of the track, I thought. Okay, scope will be too much if I have included that. Now, let us end this presentation with some of the photographs of Professor Manotosh Kumar Bandyopadhyay. Here, he is sitting at the guest house of Nehu, Shillong, where the 4th IGI conference held in 1991. So this is Shillong and some other photographs. I don't have to say anything about this. So this is around 1962. And you can see this is the university and the field work. On the left, he was the university, and the right, he had a butterfly, mustache at that time in 1964, 65. And these are some of these, images of the Alaska field work. You can see in the upper left thing, a huge superficial moraine boulder is there, and standing on all these things in 1964, and the patterns of periglacial grounds in United States. And he is taking expedition in the Alaskan coastal range here. So he, made these travels extensively in Swiss Alps, in the Rocky Mountain, and the Alaskan coastal ranges, as you can see here, and also the Caucasus Mountains, right, in the Russia. And at that time, he learned some Russian to help him go and visit those places. Okay. Then you can see working in the Badashigiri Glacier, in the Lahul, and also some glimpses of the field work. He was an avid field person. Those who know him would be able to understand. Whenever there was any hint of going to the field, going to understand the structure or anything else, there would have been no fear of him. He was always ready to go. Here in the Talcher, leading a group of roadside to see the structure. And 1987, and Sagar Island in 1991, standing in the six. And here, Professor Ashish Kumar Paul can be seen in the upper right photograph. At that time, he was teaching in Asutosh College. And then you see in 2021 in Gangasagar is checking out a global positioning system which was being run as a base station, and you can make out figure on the with this brown overcoat, with Professor Bandyopadhyay, and white cap, in a boat in 2001 in the Sundarban. Then finally, here we have another image from Chunar in 2008, where he's checking out a rock outcrop. Okay. And of course, with all these things, he was always a family man, affectionate to his daughter Alaska and son Radoshi and wife Gauri. Okay. Now, as I told you, he was a very efficient science communicator, and Manotosh Babu was a very coveted name to get in any popular science program and also nature camps throughout West Bengal, starting from Sundarban to the Himalaya. Manotosh Babu ashben, oh, Durdanto. That means, oh, Manotosh Bandyopadhyay is coming. That's fantastic. So that was a typical catchword, on that circles. When he used to go there, he agreed, he consented to go some of those programs. Okay. So here he's speaking in old television, on some. This is probably in the North Bengal. There was a very famous organization in Shiliguri. Okay. National Adventure Foundation, NAF. So he was very much involved with it. And I can see from, I don't know from where, but it seems that is one of their programs, because I can see the mountains and the pattern of trees and the rivers. But I'm not sure. Now, here, the senior persons would recognize the geomorphologist trinity of the University of Calcutta. On the left, Professor Subhash Chandra Mukhopadhyay. Center, Professor Manotosh Kumar Bandyopadhyay. On the right, Professor Subhash Ranjan Basu. Now, for the long time, for 10 to 15 years, so they dominated the scene of geomorphologists all over India. And we really very fondly, we remember those days, we recall those days when our department used to, one of the leading departments on geomorphology of the country. And these two photographs come from his farewell program. And at that time, the departmental head was Professor Shukla Bhaduri, who is handing him a flower bouquet. And later, in 2015, Calcutta University gives this eminent teacher award. Okay. And during the convocation, very few people have got it, none from our department. But Professor Bandyopadhyay received this eminent teacher award from the University of Calcutta in 2015. We brought out a book at the As His Felicitation volume in 2011, and it was again revised in 2013. So this is a second edition, and edited by most of his students like me, Manjari, Shubhamita, Professor Dulal Goswami, Amolda, that is Dr. Amol Kaur, apart from Suresh Ramchandra Jog, who was one of his very close friends of the Savitri Bhai Phule University. And this book has got about 32 articles arranged in 7 sections in 43 geomorphologists. And this book has got a detailed publication list as well as a detail of his accomplishment. So if anybody is interested to learn more about Professor Bandyopadhyay, so they can get hold of this book and go through the the opening pages. And then, as you know, the Professor Bandyopadhyay gradually, with his age, he gradually, were accessible less and less, and disappeared from his very active public life which he used to conduct. And he passed away in 2020, and the 10th October. And that was a very sad day for us. But that time the COVID was raging, so it was unfortunate time when we really couldn't do much because but he didn't pass away. He didn't catch COVID, but it was that time that occurred. His passing occurred, and after everything became normalized, we came up with a condolence meeting, and where we published this book. And Manotosh Babu, in his typical young self, you can see sitting with the camera with his student, and this was the cover of the booklet we published at that time during his condolence meeting. Right. Well, that is all I had to say. Thank you. But there was more, there's more. I could have continued and I could have put more things in it. But I think within 50 minutes, I could master the most important points on Professor Bandyopadhyay. Regards. Okay.
Thank you so much, Professor Sunanda, for accepting our request. Give us a lecture covering the entire journey, Professor, with all minute details and great for discipline of legal geomorphology through presentation. Sir's research supervision on geomorphology, in-depth fieldwork across the globe, places, as well as various positions in academic bodies and institutions. Thank you so much, sir, for such a great presentation on today's episode. We would now like on this occasion, Professor, former professor and head Department of Geography, Institute of Science, Banaras Hindu University, Uttar Pradesh. Professor Yadav, sir, please. Professor Ramsakal Yadav, sir, please say a few words. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Am I audible? Okay.
Yeah.
Professor Yadav, sir, are you there?
Hello. I'm
yes, sir.
audible, madam?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. With due honor, respect to dignitaries sharing the platform, I would like to share a few points and give my individual opinion about Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay sir. Padhyay sir, first thing I would like to say that West Bengal, particularly Calcutta, has very strong tradition of geomorphology, physical geomorphology, coastal geomorphology, and mostly oriented to physical geography. And Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay was one of the champions with Professor Prabhas Mukhopadhyay and others. I would like to say second thing that since he was the belonging to the period when geography was getting popular in India, particularly there in West Bengal, he has given emphasis to physical geography and he has demonstrated the significance of physical geography and association with Himalayas, this Sundarbans, and fluvial process in India. I could read and also understand what about Professor this Sunando Bandyopadhyay was speaking, the tradition of division concept, landscape is function of structure, process, and stage. He has emphasized the structure and its role in development of landscape. Of course, I would like to submit that such sir has not only uh, supervised many research scholars for doctoral degree, but he may have produced hundreds of students who have moved to different institutions of our country and abroad and continued that tradition. Now I understand that Department of Geography of that university is heading towards this particularly social geography, but Professor Sunanda Padhyay is uh, heading and also supervising the students there towards the physical geography. I would like to say that the his contributions have made signal contributions to development of geography, and Professor Devendra Kumar Singh has made novel attempt to bring their contribution to the limelight and also get in published form. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Ramsakal Yadav, sir, for very brief and precise observation of today's episode. Definitely, Professor Manotosh Kumar Bandyopadhyay, sir, has laid a very strong foundation whose base of the pyramid is too big. That has produced a very big pyramid with huge peak all across the country. Thanks a lot, sir, for your presence. I would now like to invite our distinguished guest of this panelist, Professor Anuradha Sharma, Madam, former Chairperson, Department of Geography, and Professor, Jammu University, Jammu. Professor Anuradha, Madam, please.
A very good evening to all the geographers present in this on this platform. It's always indeed a great moment of pride for me to be a part of this platform when we get to know uh, in details about the eminent geographers of India and everything about what they have done in their academic career and the depth of research that they have gone through. It's always a pleasure and matter of great pride for me to know about them, to be a part of this family in which everybody is doing their best to give to this subject of geography. uh, I was really impressed by the impressive academic career that Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay sir has had, which was actually the detail of whose career and his research and other academic programs were so elaborately and beautifully given by the honorable speaker. Professor Bandyopadhyay, who has been the founder of Geography Department of Calcutta University, that has produced so many big geomorphologists and great geographers. And it's always pleasure to hear about them, and it's always pleasure to be a part of the academic activity wherever the students of Professor Bandyopadhyay have been. It's always great opportunity to listen to their research work and the work that the Calcutta University is ongoing with. Professor Bandyopadhyay, who has had such great international exposure and who was associated with great organizations like NATMO and research activities that he has conducted in Alaska, which is actually a dream for all of us to be there and be a part of such kind of a research. But the kind of association that he has had with that place, and his research that he named his daughter also after that region, the Alaska. And this shows his interest and his emotional touch with that research oriented activity that he must have had in that area. Many researches that he has done in multifaceted personality. He was not only working in one field, but many fields of geography he has touched. And he has been a mountaineer. He was a great traveler, a great family man. And the way the presentation of his structural geomorphology that he has worked on, the speaker has very beautifully given that details with the help of the map. And actually, the speaker has been the reflection of his teacher, who must have gone taken so many pains and gone such deep into making his students comfortable with the difficult terrain that he has visited, that the students today, those who were speaking about, I mean, the speaker was a student and he was speaking with such detail and precision about whatever the work he has done. So this is another reflection of his personality that has had the impression on his students. So the kind of details that he has worked on the estuaries of Delta, the in Indian Delta in India, then the Indo-Gangetic plains, the work of the river, especially about the details that was given about the Indus were really very interesting. And we are thankful to the organizers of this program, who have given me this opportunity of learning more about geography and the geographers of the modern times. Thank you very much. And I also thank all the distinguished guests, the president, the convener, and the observers from Saga, to have been continuously present in each and every episode. Thank you very much.
Madam, it's really very pleasant to have you on this auspicious platform, and you are very brave but encouraging comments. Thanks a lot. I would now like to invite Professor Jawar Barmaya sir, retired professor and former in-charge principal, Pradhan Mantri College of Excellence, Government, Madhop from Madhya Pradesh, to say a few words. Professor.
सर्वप्रथम मनोतोष कुमार उपाध्याय सर को मेरा सादर प्रणाम है, और साथ ही द 69th एपिसोड ऑफ द ऑनलाइन लेक्चर सीरीज के मुख्य अतिथि प्रोफेसर आर.एस. दुबे सर को मेरा प्रणाम, और साथ ही इस ऑनलाइन लेक्चर के मुख्य वक्ता जिन्होंने बहुत ही सारगर्भित और ज्ञानवर्धक व्याख्यान से सभी भूगोलविदों को एक अच्छा संदेश दिया है, उनको भी मैं नमस्कार करता हूं। साथ ही इस ऑनलाइन लेक्चर के प्रेसिडेंट प्रोफेसर अरविंद ए मणि को मेरा नमस्कार, साथ ही प्रोफेसर राणा प्रताप सर को, और इस ऑनलाइन लेक्चर के समस्त जितने भूगोलविद हैं उन सभी को मेरा नमस्कार। आज मुझे इस बात की बड़ी खुशी हो रही है कि इस ऑनलाइन लेक्चर की संयोजिका प्रोफेसर सवित्री स्मिता वी चौहान मुंबई ने भारतवर्ष के विभिन्न क्षेत्रों के भूगोलविदों को इस ऑनलाइन लेक्चर के माध्यम से न केवल जोड़ा है, अपितु ये है कि इस ऑनलाइन का लेक्चर का जो उद्देश्य है, जिन्होंने प्रोफेसर मनोतोष कुमार बंदोपाध्याय ने जिस प्रकार से बंगाल से पूरे देश में और विदेश में भू आकृति विज्ञान पर शोध कार्य करने के लिए और भूआकृति विज्ञान पर अपनी विशेष पुस्तकें लिखने के लिए जो है उन्होंने हमको एक प्रेरणा दी है। और मैं समझता हूं कि ये आज के हमारे वक्ता ने उनके जीवन के पूरे क्रियाकलापों का जिस प्रकार से यहाँ पर व्याख्यान दिया है वो बहुत ही ज्यादा सारगर्भित है। हमारे पूर्व वक्ताओं ने उनके जीवन चक्र पर काफी कुछ कहा है, पर यह है कि यहाँ पर जिस प्रकार से हमारे मुख्य वक्ता सुनंदो मनोपाध्याय सर ने जिस प्रकार से उनके जीवन के समस्त क्षेत्रों का, चाहे वो एक शिक्षक के रूप में हो, चाहे एक शोधकर्ता के रूप में हो, चाहे एक शोध निर्देशक के रूप में हो, उस समय की भौगोलिक स्थिति जब यह कि काफी प्राकृतिक विपदाएं हुआ करती थी, उनके बीच जो है वो इन क्षेत्रों में से लेकर गंगा के डेल्टा तक या सागरी तटीय भागों तक अपने शोधार्थियों के साथ में जिस प्रकार से कार्य किया है और भू आकृति विज्ञान के क्षेत्र में उन्होंने अपना योगदान दिया है, वह वो हमेशा जो है वो अविस्मरणीय रहेगा अपना। और मुझे इस बात की खुशी हो रही है कि इस व्याख्यान के माध्यम से जिस प्रकार से बंदोपाध्याय ने अपने स्लाइड के माध्यम से बंदोपाध्याय सर का जो यहाँ पर प्रेजेंटेशन दिया है आधुनिक भूगोल वेत्ता, उसका अनुकरण करके यह है कि हाँ, आज के समय में विशेष रूप से एआई या विकिपीडिया या जीपीएस का जिस प्रकार से आधुनिक तकनीकी भूगोल के क्षेत्र में प्रवेश हो गई है, उससे यह है कि भू आकृतिक क्षेत्रों का बहुत अच्छे तरीके से अध्ययन करेंगे। जिस प्रकार से जो है मनोपाध्याय सर ने जो हमको बताया है स्लाइड के माध्यम से अपना, तो क्योंकि भू आकृति का लक्षणों का जो प्रभाव, सीधा प्रभाव है, वो मानव की जो सामाजिक या सांस्कृतिक या आर्थिक जो क्रियाकलाप हैं उनमें पड़ता है। और इसको बताने का भरपूर प्रयास जो है आज के इस व्याख्यान में हमारे मुख्य वक्ता ने जो है वो दिया है, और मैं उनको दिल से जो है वो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूँ। बहुत अच्छी बातें आपने ज्ञान की बातें की हैं, और मुझे इस बात की खुशी है कि मुझे आज जो है विशिष्ट अतिथि के रूप में प्रोफेसर सविता मैडम ने जो सम्मान दिया है, मैं उनका जो है वो दिल से जो है वो धन्यवाद देता हूँ। साथ ही इस ऑनलाइन लेक्चर की जितनी भी टीम है उनको भी धन्यवाद देता हूं कि बहुत अच्छे तरीके से ये लेक्चर जो है यहाँ पर ऑर्गेनाइज किया गया है। मैं उनकी टीम को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं, और निश्चय ही ये ऑनलाइन लेक्चर जो है काफी सारगर्भित होगा, मुझे आशा नहीं बल्कि पूर्ण विश्वास है। और एक अंतिम लाइन और मैं ये बताना चाहूँगा कि मुख्य वक्ता महोदय ने जो है बंदोपाध्याय के उसमें जो है कि ग्लेशियर हिमनद से, चाहे वो रेगिस्तान का हो, चाहे डेल्टाई क्षेत्रों का हो, चाहे बाढ़ क्षेत्रों का हो, सभी क्षेत्रों का उन्होंने जो है वो अपना प्रकाश डाला है। तो एक बार पुनः जो है मैं उनको धन्यवाद देता हूँ। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you so much, Professor Jawar sir, for your apt comments on this program. But I would like to convey that the entire credit goes to Professor Devendra Singh and his team. I am just contributing only 1% to this particular program as a convener. So I would like to give the credit to Professor Devendra Singh sir for this all the episodes that are being. Thanks a lot. I would now like to invite Professor Dr. Gaurav Kalitra, Professor in Department of Geography, Government Lohiya Postgraduate College, Churu, from Rajasthan. Professor Gaurav Kalitra, sir. Sorry, I think I've made a mistake, sorry. Professor Gaurav Kalitra from Punjab University, Chandigarh. Yes. Professor Gaurav Kalitra, sir. Professor in Department of Geography, Punjab University, Chandigarh. To say a few words. I think sir was there. Maybe some technical issue would be there. Okay, I would now like to invite Professor M.M. Sheth, sir, Professor in the Department of Geography, Government Lohiya Postgraduate College from Churu, Rajasthan, to say a few words. Sir Shakes.
Thank you, madam. And first of all, I would like to thank you, Professor Savit Smita, madam, that she has provided me this opportunity to learn something more about Professor Bandyopadhyay. Actually, I have heard about him so many times, and first time I listened about this talk about Professor Bandyopadhyay, and my heartily gratitude are with them. And really, he was a very good and very learned professor. He worked in the field of mountain and all these things. So I don't know much about Professor Bandyopadhyay. So I would say I'm very thankful to all organizers and Professor Smita madam to provide me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Sheikh, sir. The very intention to invite different national geographers from our country to this platform is definitely to make them know exactly what the founders and makers of modern geography suits are on, so that we are able to incorporate all other departments of and give the right uh, to the academic contributions and research our national geographers have done in the country. So the coming generations would be able to know about it and learn and can access those research work if they need so. Thanks a lot, sir, for joining. We also have with us our distinguished guest, Dr. Kalpana Malwat, madam. If she is able to speak, because actually just now I received call. Unfortunately, yesterday evening she got emergency election duty, presiding officer. So she won't be able to. Uh, so kindly excuse for the same, but she has joined. Thank you, madam, for joining us. I would now like to invite Dr. Santosh Mane, sir, Head Department of Geography, Samir Gandhi Kala Mahavidyalaya, Mauritius, Solapur from Maharashtra, to say a few words. Professor Mane, sir, please. To dress. We have with us distinguished and eminent geographer, Professor Prithvish Nath, sir, former director of NATCO. Sir, we are blessed to have you here on this auspicious platform and would like to hear from you, Professor Prithvish Nath, sir. Please.
Sir, your mic is in mute.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Madam Savispita. Thank you, Dr. Devenderji, and the participants who are here in this platform. My interaction with Professor Bandyopadhyay was very limited. Uh, he was in NATMO at one point of time, and then when he joined Calcutta University at Bali and Circle Road, which was not very far from the NATMO headquarters, then at 50A Garyat Road. So he used to come very often to NATMO and come to my room also, basically to consult the maps before going to the field, Himalayas and those areas. So he used to interact with me. That was the only interaction which I had with him. Apart from the several committees which Professor Bandyopadhyay has mentioned, they used to invite me regarding maps, etc., to talk about maps, then he used to be always there. So basically, my interaction is limited to that. But the most important part is that when I used to interact with him, uh, I got an idea of having tracking maps for the areas where people like him used to visit. The problem was of the scale. What should be the scale for that? Problem was that due to the restrictions uh, by Survey of India to provide the topographical details, what best we could provide. So, talking to him, I got an idea that if we can't provide the spot heights or contour lines in those trekking areas, at least we can show that along the route, which are the places where you have to go, you have to climb, or you have to go down. If that is mentioned in the tracking maps, that will help people like him to go for studies in.
I think sir's network has gone. Okay, but it was very nice to have.
People like it. What I'm trying to say is that though interaction was very brief with him, but I got a clue, and that was implemented in terms of a series of tracking maps prepared by National Atlas and Thematic Mapping Organization. Uh, he was a very gentleman. A lot of his students were in NATBO. Through them, I used to get information about him. His his contribution in studying these high altitude areas. The people used to talk about it, about his contribution, and they used to get inspired from him as well. So that was my basically interaction with him. And one of the important things which I felt is that at one point of time, which other speakers have also mentioned, that Calcutta University was a stronghold of geomorphologists. There were, I understand, at one point of time, there were 5 professors in Calcutta University who were specializing in geomorphology. And he was one of them. And that's how the, uh, the Calcutta University Geography Department became a very important place for study of geomorphology. At that point of time, I'm talking about, say, 2 decades earlier, if you see the national scenario, you will find that the departments were drifting from geomorphology, physical geography, to cultural, social, and that type of topics. But Calcutta University was still holding the fort of geomorphology by having so many professors and due to their contribution. And he was one of them. And I'm sure he will be remembered for his contribution to those times. And the younger generation will get inspired to take up geomorphology for their career, which is getting diminished, unfortunately. Madam, thank you very much for inviting me and to say something. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your wonderful experience of the interaction with Professor Bandyopadhyay, sir. And your presence is a great blessing for us. Thanks a lot, sir. I would now like to invite Dr. Sutapa Sengupta, madam, former head retired from St. Mary's College, New Shillong, Meghalaya. Professor Sengupta, madam, please. Dr. Sengupta, madam, Sutapa.
Her microphone is mute, I think.
She is muted.
Madam, please unmute yourself. We are not able to hear you. Are you using earphone device? If that, please remove it. Therefore, we are not able to hear. Please remove your earphone and then speak. Madam, you are not audible. ईयरफोन लगाइए, ईयरफोन निकाल दीजिए मैडम.
Hello.
Yes, madam. Now we can hear you.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam. Now we can listen.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Very good evening to all learned professors present here. Actually, at the very outset, let me express my gratitude and thanks to Professor Sunanda Bandyopadhyay, who has presented a very, very detailed and informative presentation on Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay. Actually, I am from social geography. I have not much link with physical geography, but during my tenure in teaching career, I had to teach geomorphology and physical geography for quite some time. And at that time, I had to refer to Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay's work quite often. So I have at least some idea. I should not say much, but I have at least some idea about his work and his profound knowledge in the field of, especially in the field of fluvial geomorphology, glacial geomorphology, and structural geomorphology. But I would like to share another point with you all, which is slightly different from maybe from many of you, is that I am a student of Guwahati University. And of course, by the time we joined Guwahati University 1975-76, Professor Bandyopadhyay had already left the university. But we had the fortune of receiving him as as our external examiner in the year 1976, when he came as an external examiner for our previous year examinations. And we had very nice experience of exchanging views with him regarding all these exercises on physical geomorphology and fluvial geomorphology, especially like drainage density, drainage frequency, etc., and also on the coast structure, the different types of coastal structures. And after the examination was over, we had a very nice experience of sitting with him and sharing his experiences in the field of fluvial geomorphology. And that was a very, very rich experience, I should say. I had the opportunity of being a student of his student, Professor Dulal Goswami. He is also a very, very renowned professor in the field of geomorphology and environmental geography. So that is all that I wanted to share with this learned body. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sabismita Chauhan, madam, for inviting me for this session. Thank you.
My pleasure, madam. And thanks a lot, Dr. Sen Gupta, madam, for joining this auspicious platform and sharing your experience, interaction, and views for Professor Bandyopadhyay. So thank you so much. I would now like to invite Dr. Yogesh Dudpachare, sir, Professor and Head Department of Geography.
Madam, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you
From
for
Janta Mahavidyalay, Chandrapur, Maharashtra. Yes,
thanks
sir,
a lot,
please.
madam, for giving me a chance to say a few words regarding the Manotosh Kumar Bandyopadhyay, sir. In Maharashtra, when we were studying in our masters, so we learned so much that the geographer from the Bengal, especially from the Calcutta, they have number of books. They have written so many books as compared to the other parts of India. And we introduced to the Bengali person regarding this. That so many writers and so many publications were from Calcutta. But today, Bandyopadhyay sir has presented a very good uh, regarding the Manotosh Kumar sir, and it was a new introduction to me that what the geographer can do. It is the thing. As a geographer, he has done so much work regarding the structural geomorphology and the coastal geomorphology. So many papers, so many researchers he has produced. Number of PhD degree holders he has produced from his guidance, able guidance. And one more attractive thing that he has given a name to his daughter, Alaska. It was very attractive and attractive things that I recall a lady from Maharashtra, that is the Iravati Karve. She born in on the bank of the Iravati River, and she has given us so much to the social geography in Maharashtra, in India, we can say. On the same line, the sir has served to the daughter came in his house. He has given the name after the country. What things he has done also. Thank you to the today's presentation presenter, MK Bandyopadhyay sir, that he has given us so many dimensions which contributed by Manotosh Kumar Bandyopadhyay, and we the people, especially from the other parts of the India, we introduce to him with this new presentation. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yogesh, sir, for your brief but apt comments on this occasion. Thanks a lot. I would now like to invite Professor Sunil Kumar to say a few words. Professor Sunil Kumar, sir.
Thank you, madam. In fact, if I do not say a few lines about Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay, it will be incompleted with Professor Sunanda Bandyopadhyay. Firstly, on a light note, you see the supervisor was M.K. Bandyopadhyay and the speaker was Sunanda Bandyopadhyay. So he has chosen his guide maybe because of Bandyopadhyay group. This is a light note. Of course.
I will tell you something. When I first went to Pune, that was the third conference, okay, IPI. So I recall after I finished my presentation, Professor Veena Jasi came to me and say, "Great Sunando, like father, like son." But no, I'm not his son. So it was like that. We share the same son and yes. Right.
Okay. So I'll not take too much time. I was a direct student of Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay. When he came for the first time in the class, he was not teaching geomorphology first. Just he was asking that, can any geographer of this classroom tell me the width and length of this classroom? So many of our remained silent, because how can we measure on the first day the width and length of the classroom? Then he showed by walking that how can you measure this width and length of the classroom. He said that when I go to field, we do not have any instrument. We used to in the field we used to measure by this way, by our feet. So this was the first lesson. Second lesson, when we together went to field in Kolkata, and Kolkata, this is famous for gully erosion. And in one side there is very steep slope, another side it is very gentle slope. Now 3 teachers were there. One teacher was saying that, say, this is meander terrace. And another teacher is showing that this is the meander, opposite side it is deposited plain land. And another teacher who is not from geomorphology, he was saying that, Baba, I do not understand the friction between the geomorphologies. He is saying that it is steep slope, another side it is gentle slope, how it is formed. So anyway, very lightly at that time, he was teaching me by this way, Sunil, you have learned mountaineering. Can you climb this slope? So I told him, yes, sir, that time our blood was hot. Yes, sir, I can write the slope. Then when I went to write the slope, then suddenly I fell down. Well, you did not learn anything. This is the practical experience you should know. So by this way, when we used to go together in the field, we used to learn many things. And last, I will say, after my master's, when I was teaching in a school, we went together in a district called Purulia. It is the eastern part of Chotanagpur Plateau. There was a seminar in a school, and we were kept in a very small school room. And school room, that time there was hardly any toilet, only one latrine, one toilet common was there. He used to use only one mug for everything, for bathing, for using toilets, for everything. I was asking him that you do not have any problem with this mug. You are having food with this mug. You are bathing with this mug. Well, by this way you can reduce your luggage if you frequently want to go to field. So this is our teacher. I pay my homage to my teacher. Although on the last day of his life I could not meet him. That's why I was in this Shillong, and many of my teachers I could not see their last day. That this is my grievance I could not see on myself. So with these words, I thank you once again, Professor D.P. Singh, Madam, and all the participants in this group. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Sunil Kumar Desi. It's a really proud moment for all of us to have a direct student of Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay on this platform and share your real classroom experience and field experience today. Thanks a lot, sir. I would now like to invite our coordinator from West Bengal chapter, Dr. Jaidul Islam, sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Geography, Alia University, Kolkata, to say a few words. Dr. Jaidul, sir, please.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to thank everyone, all the participants, all the dignitaries present here. And on behalf of the founder and maker of Modern Geography in India, West Bengal chapter, I would like to thank Professor Sunanda Bandyopadhyay for sharing great knowledge about Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay. Actually, this is the great opportunity for us to hear about the legend from living legend. So thank you again, sir. Thank you all. And I must take the opportunity to invite all the participants for our upcoming lecture on Professor Subhash Ranjan Bosu, which is scheduled to be held in the 3rd May and which will be delivered by one of the eminent professor, Professor Sunil Kumar De. At the same time,
Jaidul, please.
Yes, sir.
I wrote you that I have undergone an operation. I will give it on 17th May. I told already to Professor D.P. Singh.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I will call you, sir. Yes.
So I will give it on 17th.
And after that, okay, sir. Okay, sir. I will communicate with you, sir. And after that, we have another episode on Professor Subhash Mukhopadhyay, and the lecture will be delivered by another eminent professor, Professor Lokhinarayan Satpathy. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for your gracious presence in this auspicious occasion and for in this forum. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jaidul, sir, for your strong support to this platform. Thanks a lot. I would now like to invite our President of the session, Professor Arvind A. Mulimani, sir, Senior Professor and Chairman, Department of Studies in Geography, former Registrar, former Vice Chancellor of Karnataka University, Dharwad, to give his presidential remarks. Professor Arvind Mulimani, sir, please.
Good evening to esteemed geographers and galaxy of academicians who have been heard this very effective talk on Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay. It is a privilege for me to be as a president of this event. From bottom of my heart, I express my sincere gratitude to Professor Devendra Prasad Singh, who is responsible for bringing all the Indian geographers in one platform of founders and makers of modern geography in India. Professor, I am extremely sorry. I was away from many months of this series because due to heavy assignments of my university. And now I have come back to this process. I will be there. The pattern of this 69th episode, Professor Rana Pratap sir, the convener of this event, Professor Savitmit Chauhan ma'am, the speaker of today's event, Professor Sunanda Bandyopadhyay, chief guest, Professor R.S. Yadav, and distinguished speakers of this webinar lecture series, and all the saga experts and noted professors who are responsible for today's event, who have been present over here, with all delegates or participants of this event. It was started with 93 members, now it has been 73. 20% have been not available. We heard about Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay, but we never seen. We never gone into the detail about a professor who has been dedicated his entire service to the geography, who has been served almost 4 decades. His journey has been beautifully narrated by Professor Sunanda Bandyopadhyay, who has been responsible for reflect the personality of multifaceted personality of Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay. I was also not known much about it, but it is a privilege to hear a very good talk of Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay. As you know that we have two important dilemmas which we are discussing in our academic platforms. Is geography is an academic discipline or practical applied oriented science? If you look into that point of view, again we have a dilemma and dichotomy that is geography is a lab oriented science or field oriented science. Both of these statements, which we used to have a debate, has been concluded with the work carried out by Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay that geography is a purely field oriented and applied science. As he was Professor Sunanda Bandyopadhyay was mentioned when he was talking about how the difficulty professor was facing and many of the professors were facing to get the clear image from the aerial photos or the satellite imaginaries during those times where the technology was very prominent, but still we were holding the cartographic appreciations, the techniques and tools we are using to understand, to study the geography. As I know that through the talk and the slides I have been observed of Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay, he was a known geomorphologist, dedicated researcher and good academician who has been carried out very effective research by guiding many students during his entire professional career on glacial geomorphology, coastal geomorphology, structural geomorphology, fluvial geomorphology, applied glacial geomorphology, environmental geography, and meteorology and climatology. Astonishing to know to me that today only I came to know that Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay has been carried out many of the work under the stalwart guidance of Professor W.D. Thornberry. We heard about Thornberry, we read his literature, but I didn't know that Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay was the student of Professor Thornberry. Entire his contribution of geography confined to only geomorphology and all branches of geomorphology, where Professor Sunanda Bandyopadhyay has made it very clear that he was very particular about the methodology and the techniques which he has been using while interpreting the geomorphological features. Today, it is easy for everyone that everyone thing is been available with the spatial data, and GIS is there, remote sensing is there. We have to confine to the lab, and sitting in the lab itself, we need not go to the field. Some cross verification GPS is being using by going to the field and getting all this information. Now it has been confined to talk about that. Today, geography is the purely lab oriented rather than the field oriented. The academic discipline like this is being shifted with the development of science and technology, and according to the earlier methodological approach, has been responsible for developing a geography discipline. As I believe that the innovative research is definitely developed in the well-fertile land of intellectual mind. I repeat this statement: an innovative research is definitely developed in the well-fertile land of intellectual mind. Any professor is having intellectuality, definitely the research will be take place. If the research, effective research has been taken place, that is been enhancing the added the knowledge to the field of discipline. So that kind of work is being very much required, and I hope so Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay is the deserve to get this statement in an effective manner, what I feel personally. And accordingly, we heard about his visit, we heard about his highest academic responsibility has been taken up, and he has been worked in the different fields, and he has been responsible for, instrumental for, West Bengal Geographers chapter, West Bengal Geography has been developed, and also he has worked in a NATMO. Professor Prithvish Nag sir was remembering when he was in a NATMO and what kind of map he's been. Prithvish Nag, we used to have a nickname to him, Map Man of India. So the spatial data, spatial information, mapping is one of the most effective skill and development and orientation of the geographers. And today it has been reflected to us in such a way that I am grateful to Professor Sunanda Bandyopadhyay. As Professor Sunil Kumar Dey said, only it is a Bandyopadhyay group and all these things. But Professor Sunil Kumar Dey is also one of the students of Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay, and also has made it very clear he has remembered his teacher and his research work and the way which he was taught to them. So these are all way which we have been remembering such a great personality of India, where they have dedicated and served their effective service to the geographers fraternity in India. We are remembering such people, and therefore I once again grateful to the founders and makers of Modern Geographers team, who is being responsible for make everyone to understand about the different personalities in the different corner of India, bringing this platform. So in totally 13 professors have spoke about the professor. Chief guest Professor Ram Sakpal Yadav is also mentioned, and Professor Anuradha Sharma was also discussed about her experiences with Professor M.K. Bandyopadhyay and how the methodology has been, how responsible, how maps need to be prepared, and all these things they have remembered. Jawahar Barmaya sir has also spoken, and Gaurav was supposed to be addressed, and due to one of the reasons he could not attend, I think so, he was not accessed. Sir M.K. Sheikh was spoken. Dr. Kalpana Malwat madam has also spoken to. Santosh Mane, Professor, as I said, that Madam Sen Gupta is also spoken, and Jaidu Aslam is also spoken. All 13 members have been spoken in this platform. As a president of this thing, I could not narrate everything because time is a constraint and everyone is heard about the different. I endorse all the persons' statement and all the experiences which are shared on this platform. And I once again thankful and grateful to all the persons, particularly Saraswati Madam. She is instrumental for bringing me in this platform today. And with all consent with Professor Devendra Singh Prasad and all the scholarly persons we have been. I think it is a long time I have not seen any geographer's face. Today I had seen many professors, and I hope so in future also I will be with the team, and I will also with the continuation with the episodes. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Arvind Dimani sir, for sparing your valuable time and your auspicious presence on this platform. Your awesome remarks and acknowledging and appreciating the speaker as well as the contribution of Mukhopadhyay sir, different branches of geomorphology is worth noting. Thanks a lot, sir, for being here and please keep us blessed. But on this platform, I would also like to convey for founders and makers of modern geography, we all wish you a very happy, healthy, more active, and blessed superannuation period from Almighty. Thanks a lot. Sir. Thanks a lot. Sir. Thanks a lot, sir. I would now like to